Hello, everybody. Hope everyone is enjoying their time here at Introbiz. It is a pleasure to be here. I wish I could be there in person, and I'm coming to you from here from the greater New York City area, as you can see here from the virtual background. Well, I'm so excited to be the keynote and kind of provide some insight on how you could accelerate your mental toughness to grow your business. I'm sure many that are here are and different levels of their business, whether you're being successful for quite some time, looking to get to the next level, maybe perhaps you're changing into a new business or starting a new business, or you're becoming an entrepreneur for the first time. Regardless, I'm going to share with you today some of the things that you can either build or enhance a foundation that will allow you to take any tactic or new process or procedure to elevate your brand and business to the next level. I'm so excited to be here. My name again is Chris Salem, and I'm a business executive coach and a professional speaker. I've been involved in the area of mental toughness and how I utilize that in growing and scaling your brand and business now for over 23 years. My story was that I'm a recovering codependent and a perfectionist, meaning that I grew up for the first 30 years of my life being passive and aggressive with my behavior and communication, always going out of my way to please others so I could gain their validation. And because I was a perfectionist, I placed high expectations on other people and myself. And when it went unfulfilled, like they usually do, I always pointed the finger at everyone else. Well, I can tell you over 23 years ago, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired of pointing the finger at everyone else, living in the problem, and always pointing the finger at everyone else. And I finally assumed the responsibility. If anything was going to change in my business, starting with me and how I look at things, I had to address what was going on in here, and how I think determines how I would be, to become, to do, and have different results in my business. And that is what I'm about to share with you today, that if anybody can go in and change the way we think, you can, because if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I'm so happy to be here in order to share a lot of the things I've been researching, I've been advocating and using with my clients over this time frame that I'm going to share with you here today. So what I would like you to think about is, what does mental toughness mean to you? When you think of that word, mental toughness, what does that mean to you? Take about 15 seconds. Don't analyze it. Don't overthink it. Just write whatever comes down to mind. Type it into your phone. All right, wonderful. So maybe perhaps some of you might have put down, a refusal to give up, refusal to be intimidated when things were getting tough, that persevering and pushing yourself to the next level. So all of those are going to be correct. But here's the thing about mental toughness that allows all of those things to make those things happen, where resiliency kind of builds itself upon. That is our state of being, our mind, and how we think. Mental toughness is a state of being. So just like an Olympian athlete will train for years to accomplish him or herself to win a medal, whatever it's a gold, a silver, or bronze, that they went through a lot of trials and tribulations to get there. It didn't happen overnight. And a lot of it had to do with the foundation that they built, and how did they think to be. How they be will determine the way they become. What you become will determine how you do things differently, and then achieve the results you seek. I'm going to share with you right now how mental toughness, when you can use it as a way to develop what we call a growth mindset, where you could see it as the foundation, how this is going to elevate your brand in business and how you do business to a level that you desire, and everything in between. So think of it like a beautiful home. That beautiful home that you envision or you maybe live in currently right now sits on a foundation. Now, the question is that foundation, has time been taken to nurture that foundation so that house can sustain itself over time? Or is it a beautiful house sitting on a faulty foundation that in a matter of time is going to experience a lot of problems and things that are not going to keep that house up? So let's talk about what mental toughness is in the foundation that it's built on. So when you think about the principles of mental toughness, it's the ability to look at wherever you are right now. is to see your challenge or obstacle as an opportunity. You're embracing that challenge. You're not resisting it. You're not avoiding it. You're not going around it. You're embracing it. You're seeing that challenge is happening for and not to you. I'll say that again, that it's happening for and not to you. See, that changes your whole thinking, that when you could see a challenge as a blessing and an opportunity to learn and apply and grow, you have the capability of elevating your confidence to another level. Now imagine when you raise your level of confidence, you raise your vibrational energy. We all vibrate. Every living organism vibrates at certain frequencies. Imagine what that's going to do to your self-esteem. Imagine what that's going to do and how you communicate to yourself from your inner champion rather than your inner critic. Imagine how that's going to impact in terms of your attitude, how that's going to impact how you communicate to other people, make decisions, swift decisions, take calculated risks that are necessary to grow in any type of business and to follow through with massive action. This is the foundation to all these things that are going to happen by embracing the challenge, seeing it as an opportunity to grow and expand. Next is, how do we change the way we look at the process and how we go about doing our business? Remember, we talked about seeing things happening for and not to you. So we got to remember that there are going to be certain things when it comes to our growing our brand and business that we can be in control of, and things that we cannot be in control of. I'd like you to think about, what are the things that you feel that you can control each and every day? Write that down. What can you control each and every day? Okay. Well, as of course, I am not there, so I can't hear what you're going to say, but I'm just going to, again, I don't like to assume and speculate. So whatever you wrote down, because there's no right or wrong answers. But here's the thing, what I'd like to share. There are 5 things, write this down, that you can control each and every day. And I'm going to show you, tell and share with you how this can really greatly impact how we think, to be, to become, to do, and have great results in our business and elevating our brand. We can control our communication to ourselves and others. Now, you may recall I opened up with just a brief story of how I'm a recovering codependent and a perfectionist. See, when I was growing up in my first 30 years, the way I communicated to myself and other people was in a passive and aggressive way. That was a codependent type of communication. Again, I was passive because due to the fact that I went out of my way to please and enable others, because subconsciously, without knowing it, I was seeking their validation. It filled up something that I did not get growing up when I was a child from my father. So I was always seeking the approval and validation from my father. And when I did not receive that, I would seek it out in other people. So I would seek it out from you. And then I could be aggressive because I was a perfectionist. No one can do it better than you. In this case, when I placed high expectations onto you, when you played a part in something with what I was working on, I placed those high expectations onto myself. When they went unfulfilled, like expectations do, what happened? Well, again, I got frustrated. So shifting that communication, we could control that from passive aggressive or both to being assertive, where we're specific, clear, and concise with our communication. We come from our core values of transparency, honesty, integrity, whatever those core values mean to you. Those are the values that resonate with me. And when I can be honest with myself, what my strengths and weaknesses are, and honor my strengths, honor my purpose, not somebody else's, but my own, then I'm now being very specific, clear, and concise with my communication to myself. That is going to allow me to be more specific, clear, and concise to other people. I'm going to gain better rapport with them. I'm going to have the ability to use active listening to relate and understand versus respond. Many times we're listening to respond and we're not listening to relate and understand. See, I have to be able to connect subconsciously with another human being on the values that where we connect on. They're not going to be the same values, but they could be shared values. It's all subconscious. I also have to determine the rules that they like to be communicated to. Some people, it's face-to-face, it's by email, voice, over the phone. It could be through text. Again, there's different rules. But until I've gained that rapport, I'm not going to be able to be as specific, clear, and concise to someone and really bringing that communication to a higher level without the active listening and building the rapport through connecting on shared values and the rules they like to be communicated to. But I could shift from passive aggressive to assertive, which is interdependent communication. I can control that. Number two is our behavior. I can control my behavior. Same with you. Same concept, passive, aggressive, both, or assertive, that we can be more understanding of people, understanding of yourself, learning to control what you can't, letting go of what you can't. You can control your attitude, seeing things happening for and not to you, no matter what the challenge is. You can control the emotions to what is happening. So even though your initial response could be sadness, frustration, anger, all of the above, you could choose to look at what can I control and what can I not control, and focus only on what you can control. You can change the way you look at something. So this way, now you're looking at it from a place of a positive emotion, because you get to choose that. Next, you can control your action, your course of action. Those are the 5 things that you can control each and every day. Now, there are things that you cannot control each and every day. Now, let's get the universal things that we can't control every day that apply to everybody. That's going to be the economy, death, taxes, inflation, COVID, the weather, whatever. There could be other ones as well. We cannot control that. But what are the 5 things that you cannot control each and every day? And we listed the 5 already that we can. What are the 5 things that we cannot control each and every day? Why don't you put that down? All right, so you probably wrote it down. So here are the 5 things that we cannot control each and every day. It's the same 5 things: communication, behavior, attitude, emotions happening for and not to you, and course of action in other people. Now, I'd like you to think about this. Think about, again, you can control that with yourself, but you can't control that with other people. Remember, we talked about expectations. Expectations really means that you are caught up in the control you can't control. You're caught up in somebody else's 5 things that you can't control. You're caught up in the universal things that you can't control. And when you're getting caught up in the control you can't control, what happens? We react in a negative way. Our mind is not in the present moment. It's in the past and the future simultaneously. It's a situation now triggers fear. That fear can lead to more stress, anxiety, frustration, or feeling overwhelmed. Can anybody relate to that? I know I did for many years. But when we can bring our way of thinking into the moment, not from in the past and the future from a fixed mindset, from fear, but into the moment where fear is reduced, thus bringing down stress, anxiety, frustration, anger, and so on. We shift our way of thinking away from the past and the future into the moment, where we shift away from expectations attached to the outcome of that we're seeking. And we trust the process of what we can control, letting go of what we can't in the moment, and letting the results be a byproduct only of what we can control each day, each week, each month, each quarter, and each year. Now think about if you could shift your way of thinking from the past and the future to the present moment. Shift away from expectations tied to outcomes to in the moment, trusting the process of controlling only what you can and letting the results be a byproduct of it. Letting go of everything else beyond your control. When you can change your way of thinking, you're going to establish a foundation of mental toughness from a growth mindset that is going to serve you in terms of elevating your confidence, your self-esteem, your decision-making ability, your ability to connect in a way that you're now connecting at a deeper level to build rapport, empowering people now to join you in the experience to do something in your business or service, and so on. And elevating your ability to take massive action so you're not busy and not productive, but that you are productive and efficient, focused on the priorities that matter. It's a game changer. But many times we often overlook these things because we get caught up in all the other stuff. We get caught up in the doing. Oh, there's a new tactic out. There's a new process out, a new funnel out. All of that stuff is great. They're all tools and resources that are necessary to scale your brand and business. But without the foundation to drive it and facilitate those tools and resources, that's all it is. And many times when people get frustrated because the tools and resources didn't work, it wasn't that the tools and resources didn't work. It was because we didn't have a rock solid foundation built. We didn't take time to build the foundation. Many people are looking for that solution in a box. They're looking for that quick fix that's going to solve all their problems and take their businesses to levels they've never imagined. All of that stuff's possible if you put your mind to it by addressing the foundation first. Just like an Olympian athlete establishes his or her foundation, then utilizes the tools and resources to really elevate what they do best to win a gold medal, a silver, bronze. It's the same thing in terms of how we think to be it, so then we can become it, and then we can do it differently and have different and better results. See, the 4 cornerstones of mental toughness are embracing the challenge. It's the challenge. Embrace it. Don't resist it. It's next going to, you're committing to the process. Without commitment, nothing changes. See, commitment says that I'm going to be consistent, using discipline and consistency every day to do something that's going to serve me so I can be the example and be a resource to help others do the same. That creates more interdependency, not codependency. Now you're becoming a resource, and you're being the example and being a resource to help people complement one another and how we work together versus depend upon one another. That's a game changer in building an interdependent work environment in your business, whether if you have employees or not. You could have partners or work, you can work with other JV partners, whatever that may be. But these are things that can take your business to whole new levels. Because again, that confidence vibrates at a higher level. And when you're vibrating at a higher level, guess what? You're going to attract more. And you're going to grow from your challenges, not just your successes. I love challenges. I love obstacles because I know they're only temporary, and they only prolong or get really tough even more when I resist them, avoid them, when I get caught up in a pity party with myself. Those days are long gone, and they should be. And I'm not saying that you should do that for yourself. You get to make that decision. I can only share and allow you to draw that conclusion for yourself. But when you can establish that foundation we talked about by being present, using meditation, journaling, working out, making your bed, getting up at a set time every day, reading. These are just some examples of some discipline and being consistent every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that can change your business forever. Whatever you do through discipline, consistent every day, when you put that time in over time, it's going to change the way you think. And the way you think is then going to change how you be to become, to do things differently, to trust the process, not get caught up in the control you can't control, focusing on what you can control that will lead to the results you see. Think of it like a puzzle. You have a 100-piece puzzle you have to put together, but you only have 8 pieces to work with now. Maximize that. Focus only on what you can control. Trust the process that the pieces that you don't have in your possession will come each day or each week, and that when they do, you connect them till you complete your task, complete your goal, and then move on to the next puzzle. When you can approach your thinking that way, it changes everything. So developing a daily routine, even a nightly routine, having a gratitude list. These are the things that can help really take your business to a whole new level, because now you're going to be able to take all of this out of your head and plan it each day. Write down the things that you can control each day with your daily routine. Write down the things that and break them down to the smallest level and how you're going to accomplish them in your business, what you know. And what you don't know, plug it in when it comes into your control. By taking it out of your head, it allows you to focus on one major priority at a time. So your 100% of your energy is focused on that, and you're not multitasking, which diverts your energy. It doesn't bring out the best quality, where we don't execute to the level we think we can. This will reflect in how you show up on social media. It will reflect when you're speaking on stage, when you're on a podcast, when you are in front of someone or speaking to a group of people where you're sharing, just like I am, that you could draw them in from that, connecting on those values again, and the rules they'd like to be communicated to. When you're building that rapport, they want to be part of the experience and do business with you. You have that capability, trusting that process. Now, we talked about the foundation, how we can think differently. So what are some ways now that we can elevate that to grow our business? Well, remember we talked about the foundation. We talked about, how do we build use a daily routine through meditation, journaling. I know I don't have time to go into all the details how to do that, but you can look that up or reach out to me, and I'll be happy to go into more length about that. It's taking everything out of your head and writing everything down step by step. So this way you can see it, to execute, to be in the moment, that putting 100% of your energy. See, when you put 100% of your energy into anything, it's going to work out a lot better than the other way around, because it's getting 100% of your focus, not a certain percentage of it, 100%. So what are some ways that you can leverage this? What's to determine what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? I know for myself, that's speaking. I love to speak. I've been doing it for 28 years. I've been professionally speaking for 20. It's something that I'm really good at, and I've practiced over many years. I show up very well on podcasts and radio shows. I have 2 of my radio shows myself on Voice America Influencers Channel and telradio.org through the Touch of Life Foundation. One's called Business Influencers, the other called Sustainable Success. That's how I leverage my content. That's how I show how my energy flows through speaking on stages at leading industry events around the world for industries and entrepreneurs as well. How I show up on podcasts and my own shows. And it's consistent each and every day. I speak at least 40 industry events a year. I show up on over 100 podcasts a year, and then I have my own. So when you can see that content is always out there, I'm posting on social media every day. This content is constantly triggering algorithms that are going to elevate your website, elevate your brand. And that's where people are going to start reaching out. It's what makes you compelling, not what makes you unique to them first. That's the magic. What makes you compelling to them, building that rapport again, rather than what makes you unique. Too many people are caught up, I believe, in what makes them unique and standing out. Be compelling and connect on shared values, something that's going to resonate with them, build that rapport, and then what makes you unique and stand out will be important. But leverage that platform. Me, it's speaking, podcast. Now, I'm an award-winning author as well. I've written the book, Master Your Inner Critic, Resolve the Root Cause, Create Prosperity, international best-selling book. I've also co-authored a book with Jack Canfield, Mastering the Art of Success, won an award for that contribution. But writing is not a strength of mine. If it were, I'd be putting out a book every year. It's not a strength. So you're not going to see a lot of blogs from me. You're not going to see a lot of books, but you're going to hear a lot of content in those other areas I talked about. Get real with yourself. Leverage your strengths, offset your weaknesses. If it means that you have to put out books because it really lines better with why and what you do, but writing is not your thing, hire a ghostwriter. Leverage resources and systems. That's how we scale businesses, is when we can utilize resources, tools, and systems, but doing it from a place where we're driving it from the way we think, from mental toughness. Now it's working for you, not against you. So it's a big difference. Just the tools, resources itself are not the answer without the foundation that we just talked about earlier. So leverage those strengths, offset those weaknesses. Find the platform or platforms that are going to allow you to be consistent, being compelling to your audience. That's what's going to elevate your brand. That's what's going to elevate the brand for your business. So if you decide to move on, exit your business, and you want to get as much value from someone buying your business, then they can buy it because the business has its own identity and brand, regardless if you are there, but you have your own brand. So it's important to develop your own brand and your business brand. You can tie them together, but keep them separate as well. So that way your business is more valuable when it comes time to sell. Many people don't have exit strategies. Many people walk away from something they worked hard for with nothing to show for it. It's all preparation, getting it out of here and putting it on paper, seeking out resources and help, people that can help you in these areas. Very, very important that we grow in our businesses by that foundation, by leveraging tools, resources, and systems, having mentors or coaches that can help guide us if they walked in our shoes and where we desire to walk in their shoes, but not do it exactly their way, but take what's worked for them and find out what can work for you, but never deviating from your core values of what represents you. Taking on somebody else's values is not the answer to be successful. It's looking at somebody as the example and how resourceful they are in an interdependent way, then that is a better answer in terms of how you can adopt it for yourself to do the same for others. Let me tell you, friends, it's about making an impact. Be the impact. Be the example. Be resourceful. Use your foundation and cultivate it each and every day. Give without expectation, receive without resistance. Meaning that when you give without expectation, you do it from a place of empathy and kindness, which is interdependent, versus pleasing and enabling, which is codependent. And know when it comes back from wherever it comes back, regardless of the source, as long as it serves you, you receive without resistance. Many people have a hard time receiving. You're doing yourself a disservice and the person who gave to you and the people around you by refusing or neglecting or being ignorant to it. There are opportunities all around you. Many times we don't see it. But when you can develop your foundation, when you can learn to plan and write things down, get it out of your head, learn to think in the moment, not attach to expectations, to outcome, and trust in the process of controlling what you can, letting go of what you can't fully, and being consistent through discipline. That way of thinking is going to show up in how you do things. And how you do things is eventually going to attract an audience, build your brand. It's going to start bringing in more business, opening up new opportunities to grow. Now, I could go further on and the things that we can do to grow the business side of it. I would require another half an hour, 45 minutes to do that, which we don't have here. But here is just to share with you just a little bit on what you can do and why you can do this to change the way you think, to elevate your brand and your business. I want to thank Tracy and everybody at Introbiz for the opportunity to be here with you virtually today to serve you. And I'd love to get in contact with you if you want to connect with me. I can be reached at chris@christophersalem.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me there, or chris@christophersalem.com. Be a pleasure to learn about you, get to know your business, and I'd be happy to provide some insight. And I'm offering a 30-minute complimentary consultation for anybody that'd like to talk about where they're at in their business, what could be holding them back, talk about their level of influence to build their brand. Be happy to provide you some direction, no obligation. Well, thank you everybody for the opportunity to serve, and wish everybody a great rest of the event here at Introbiz.